Now, many times we hear about the people arguing about they should not be removing Confederate statues. They don't want to erase history. And my response to that is, first of all, the Confederates was a traitor to the United States. That's first and foremost. Second, you don't have to erase history. You can put it in a museum. People can go learn about the Civil War, which is part of American history, and there'll be no problem. You don't have to have all these erected statues to open white supremacists that had my ancestors enslaved all over the town square. You don't have to do that. I feel as long as you have them up, then obviously you must like those people and what they stood for. Because on our ancestors' end, they were nothing but Satanists. There was nothing but the spawn of hell. Well, you had a House representative in Florida, good old racist Florida, and the person that's standing up for these Confederate statues is a black man. Now, before I even get to talking about him, it's always some shucking and jiving, bootlicking Negro that always sides with white supremacy against black people. How many times have you seen white folks siding against white folks for black people? It's rare that happens. But you can find every day some black person that would jump on the bandwagon to turn against black people, even though they are black themselves. Now, this guy, he is the first black representative since the Civil War in the Florida Panhandle. Lets you know about their white supremacy. Now, he proposed a bill that will make it a crime to remove a Confederate memorial, names, and symbols in the state, not to mention any intentional damaging of said memorials will be treated as a third-degree felony. A black man has presented this, ladies and gentlemen, not a white guy. Representative Mike Hill insists, he's a Republican, General Robert E. Lee was more than just some racist and lauded him as a gentleman, a Christian, and a man of great valor who deserved to be revered, as should all Confederate leaders. This is a black man saying this. This isn't a white man or white woman. This isn't Cindy Hyde, Public Hanging Smith saying it. This is a black man, okay? Then he go on to say that he's hoping to protect the state's Confederate monuments, arguing they should be preserved for educational purposes. They don't have any museums in the state of Florida. None at all. Museums educate every single day. Now, he says it won't change any person's life today by tearing down a Confederate monument or tearing down a statue or tearing down a cross. It won't change any person's life by doing that. What it will do is prevent someone from learning the history of why it was there in the first place. Do you have schools in the state of Florida? Do you have elementary, junior high, high school, college? Do you have that? Last time I checked, they teach you U.S. history in school, the little version they want to teach you and indoctrinate you, but they teach you something. So is that not being taught anymore in Florida? Maybe I didn't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You have museums, as I stated. Now, he also downplayed the role of slavery with this Confederacy, right? And he said, the Civil War mostly, fought for money, but also for states' rights and the preservation of certain lifestyles. Yes, the state's right to hold your ancestors, you fool, as a slave. And if those Confederates would have won, you would be a slave right now. Man, I can't stand these sellouts, man. He says, well, slavery is part of it. And as a nation overcame that, we fought a terrible war. Over 600,000 people died so that we can get rid of this nation of slavery. This nation has never known a day without slavery. Never. Read your 13th Amendment. It didn't get rid of slavery. It transferred it from private slave owners to state-run slave owners. He says that I think that's something that we shouldn't erase by trying to run away from it. That's something that we should understand, know, and be proud of, that we were a nation that did that. Once again, I'm in the freaking Twilight Zone. This is a black man saying this, not a white man. Who needs a racist when you got a Negro like that? You gonna make him the new president. I mean, man, oh my, listen, y'all. I don't know what's gonna happen to some black folks when white supremacy ends. I don't know what's gonna happen to you. You're gonna lose your mind. You can't think for yourself. You parrot everything they say. How do you look at yourself in the mirror with them negroid features and talking like you a lily pink man? Because you mean they ain't the color white. How? I don't know. I'm glad I got more self-respect for myself. I'm so glad. Oh, man. This guy here, he is one for the books, y'all. He is one for the books. A black man advocating for the Confederate statues, saying that Robert E. Lee, he was a great man. He was a Christian. Like, oh, boy, you make him think Robert E. Lee was just the man. Like they say, who need enemies when you got people like that in the black community? See, people like that need to be called out. We call his name out so you guys can know. His name is Representative Mike Hill. Just letting you know his name because he needs the black community to go holler at him on social media or whatever. He needs that because he's an idiot. Show me the white politician that's going to advocate for a statue of Malcolm X or advocate for a statue of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. To name a few: Marcus Garvey, Nat Turner. You don't see them advocating for that, talking about history. That's part of history, right? But they don't advocate for it. But you doing the will of white supremacists. That's just so funny to me and sad at the same time. Now leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this particular story with Representative Mike Hill out of Florida. That guy needs to go. I don't know how he got in there. And if any black person voted for him, you are silly.